The world is in the midst of a tech talent drought, with several million cybersecurity jobs said to be sitting vacant by next year. IBM Chief Security Officer Shamla Naidoo says our notion that universities will provide the solution is out of date.
The situation's dire enough to require looking in unconventional places to find skills, she says. For tonight's Taking Stock, we're joined by Napoleon Purtis, founder of the Napoleon Purtis Cosmetics Company, and Shane Oliver, Chief Economist at AMP Capital. Good to have you both on. Thank you, Shane.
Pleasure.
Napoleon.
Great to be here.
What do we think? Formal learning versus, the way that maybe companies have to take on the issue of training people. Napoleon?
I am absolutely a big believer in formal learning. I think the more highly educated a society is, the better it is for everyone. I was at my women event today with the International Women's Day today, which congratulations to all the women and power to everyone. And having higher education provides for higher income overall, higher equality across the sexes, diversity, everything. Now, in particular to these cybersecurity jobs and all that sort of situation, if the companies need to do extra training, fine, but why aren't universities preparing them? I can't see, what they need to do to kind of prepare them any further. I mean, a university degree, I did a Bachelor of Arts, gives you a whole basis to then do whatever you want and go from there. I mean, there's a lot kind of blame around universities, but at the end of the day, it's a tertiary institution that gives you more education.
I kind of agree with Napoleon, and I think everyone benefits from going through university because it broadens your horizons beyond what you would otherwise get, and I think that's very important. But I kind of also understand that I guess over the last few decades we've lost the approach which would focus on a technical qualification versus a university qualification. See, universities are aimed at doing a different sort of thing. They won't provide you the technical skills that might relate to cybersecurity, for example, whereas we used to rely on the texts to do that, and we also had that intermediate College of Advanced Education in Australia, which all got rolled into universities. So I do sort of wonder whether something was lost in the process, and people who are just after a technical degree or qualification may not be getting that to the same degree they have with this broader approach, which is everyone going through university.
And also I kind of noticed by living 11 years in America, as some universities, because there's such different college systems over there, as some universities were becoming more silo-driven around their education platform, it wasn't benefiting society overall, because silo platform education means that you create these expertise but then have no people skills, no EQ, no intelligence, kind of, broader intelligence. And then as we're becoming more and more disconnected, I don't know what it's going to do for the basis of our society. So I think universities have a very big place. And if corporations want to do further training, they should go back to putting all those internships, all those kind of internal corporate programs that used to exist when I was sort of getting out of uni, which a lot of them have moved away from and expect the government or the universities to do for them. But actually it's the government's job to have public policy and create a more educated, more rounded society, and that's what we need.
Isn't one of the problems we have these courses that students pile into as well, and kind of interest subjects? And I mean, look, okay, let's use even the case of journalism. Everyone's interested in journalism, everyone wants to be a journalist and have their opinion, and yet the number of jobs that come out the other side are just so disproportionate to the number of people going in the course. There's kind of a massive disconnect with
there is a
jobs
disconnect.
At the end versus...
there is a problem there, and that's a difficult one to manage, because you can often be at university for 4 years, and an area which may have job shortages today, in 4 years' time may well not. And this has happened at various points in time in Australia, where you'd have a whole bunch of people going in to study teaching, for example, and 4 years later you find you've got an oversupply of teachers. That's incredibly difficult to manage.
I went to Macquarie University, and I remember kind of the community spirit, the way you would just sit and debate topics, debate life, meet friends that I have forever, and actually really solid friends, and friends that may even have different platforms of understanding. It's been amazing.
Enough, I was at Macquarie too. Maybe we're there.
We love Macquarie.
Absolutely. Okay, actually, kind of interestingly, we're talking about the state of the workforce. Takes us to our next topic quite nicely, which is that Deliveroo has launched a cash-out feature for its delivery riders that allows them to receive their earnings the day after hitting a button on their app. This is after, of course, they work delivering people their food. Now, is this the beginning of a more immediacy in worker pay? And is it good news? Napoleon, what do you think? You employ a lot of people.
My parents used to say to me that when I was doing part-time work, this week's wage, save it, and plan it, and then when you get next week's, make sure you kind of save a proportion and plan it. This whole idea of immediacy, because I had staff in the USA, and there's this concept was there already, you know, is dangerous, because then we have immediacy in buying, immediacy in commitment, our financing before we even plan, you know, impulse buy. Then we become so consumer addicted, whether it's actually long-term consumer like mortgages or whether it's actually short-term, so consumer addicted that we're constantly going to be relying on debt. And I just don't think that that's actually that amazing. I think waiting and planning for your pay and maybe using your next week's pay, you know, for something rather than always living hand to mouth is actually not that amazing.
So you reckon you should be able to wait a couple of weeks to
yeah,
get your pay?
Should. You should have some savings.
Yeah, it's worth saying that it was previously fortnightly. It's not like it was monthly or quarterly pay or anything like that. Shane, what do you think?
It's been made possible by technology. It makes sense for a company to pay it every fortnight because otherwise it's too complicated paying it out every day. I do wonder about the instant gratification thing, that if people get it like that, then they'll probably spend it like that. But I also think about the workforce. You know, people who are doing Deliveroo type jobs would have been me 35 or maybe 40 years ago, so a long time ago, and I probably wanted the money to pay for some bill I had at the time, and you're probably not that focused on saving.
As in the equivalent in the past was mowing someone's lawn.
Yeah. When I go and mow someone's
lawn,
I want to get the cash straight away because I've got to put the petrol in my car to get to university and do the next job. I reckon immediacy like this is only of economic benefit in times of very high inflation, and that's when you want the money now, because if you wait 2 weeks, that money may be worth less. But in a world of 2% inflation and very low interest rates, I don't think it matters for the bulk of us that much. But I do prefer the idea of it getting paid in your bank account and gradually accumulating rather than burning a hole in my pocket.
Exactly, because I see the girls at work, and I love them, man, but, you know, everyone's doing Uber Eats. In my day, you'd go down to the local wog shop and you just buy your lunch, right? You know, these days, every place that you order from has a delivery charge, right? And because it's so...
Yeah, but you don't notice that because it's just a click of the button, right?
Yeah. And I see some of the girls ordering 2 or 3 times a day, some of the staff, and that's $5 each time from each location, and because they can just press a button, and I'm like, you know that at the end of the day, that's $20 you've just spent on delivery.
$100
when you could
a week,
walk,
$5,000
when you could just walk across the road to the wog shop and buy yourself a sandwich, which I did the other day, ham, cheese and tomato I'd missed, ham, cheese, tomato sandwich from my little wok shop around the corner from my warehouse, and it was amazing. So this idea of fast is dangerous in so many ways.
Okay, it is. There's one more thing that is potentially dangerous that we want to talk about here. Would you rather your child grow up to be nice or rich? Turns out 1 in 5 parents surveyed in the UK, we should say, said that they'd rather their kid earn a decent wage than be kind or honest.
Which is a lot more than what we expected.
I was surprised. Brooke was surprised. Shane, are you surprised to hear that?
I was big time surprised, and these people haven't studied personal development enough. I think it's quite clear to me that money won't buy you happiness, and those parents should be inculcating in their kids that that's the case. So I'm a bit surprised at that response. It's interesting, the rest of the article then goes on to talk about women favouring engineering more than men, that sort of stuff, which is all quite interesting. But I do wonder whether that current generation of parents might be putting too much emphasis on salary and income and the type of job and all that sort of thing at the expense of the broader development of their children. Now, fortunately, it was only 1 in 5, so the other 4 in 5 were quite insightful.
Yes,
so that gave a bit of
that's the positive spin.
But a 5th, Napoleon, what do you think?
Rubbish. Rubbish. You know...
Which bit?
The whole idea is that, you know, we want to be encouraging societies that are well-rounded and interconnected. The universe and everything is interconnected. So focusing on just money it's just one avenue, one part of a huge life that someone can have, and it's so irrelevant. And I can tell you, I had the ambition. Not that I'm not less ambitious now, but I had that drive. I understand what it means. But at the end of the day, I've realised that it did not buy me. That's why I left America. It did not buy me happiness for a moment. I was around the biggest personalities and celebrities on the planet. You know, I had all those kind of things that, you know, people think are amazing. You know, on press junket tours, the studios would fly you on jets, do all this. I'd rather be on a jet that I can talk to people and actually spend time and connect and make friends and hear the real stories. You know, and kind of like...
And in the end, you just want to buy your ham and cheese sandwich from the wok shop, right?
really happy, you know, and just be really I was happy walking for it as well, you know. In the past, I would have maybe had someone get it for me, like. So I think the whole idea about focusing on money in our society is just rubbish, and it just leads to such big disasters.
Has what you've been through with your business changed your view?
My view has totally made me cement further my view that money is actually so unimportant. And when I've got one of my managers at the moment losing their brother or in a cancer battle at 36, you kind of sit back and go, you know what, there are much more important things in life. And I've been away from my kids for 5 weeks now, and all I want to do is go and hug them. That's more important than any money in the world. So yes, on one hand I can say yes, but on a broader, as I was coming out of the States the last 2 years and the last 6 years for me, then maybe it was coming into my 40s, I don't know. But you know, my crisis was that I want to be able to enjoy the really simple things in life. Fancy restaurants, okay, here and there, but the really simple things are basically love, connection, and just know that someone loves you and you love, and you have the capacity to do that and give and take.
Final word to you, Shane?
Yeah, when I started university, this wise guy said to me, he wasn't much older than me, he just said, when you go to university, you're going there to learn. And it's all about those things that Napoleon mentioned. And so when I went to university, that's the way I saw it. I wasn't focused on the end job I was going to get. Things turned out well for me, you know, sort of meandered down the right path and what have you, but that was the focus for me, and I think that's probably the preferred approach. Sounds to me like Napoleon had some sort of midlife crisis when he hit 40 that money was not buying him love.
Yep.
But the Beatles knew that when they were in their 20s, so it's interesting.
You can slip a music anecdote into pretty much any discussion. And I must say, two of our most boldly and colourful dressed guests that we've had in some time. You can't see the whole picture, but yeah, you should see. You should have seen Napoleon.
You're beautiful. You're stunning.
Well, I'm not colourfully dressed, but tonight, unfortunately, to match you guys. Thank you so much,
Shane,
my pleasure. Napoleon, and hopefully catch you on the other side after you come back from Greece this next time.
Thank you.
Get to go and see your family soon.